Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day to everyone. In this video, we discuss about wow question for SM025 Set 4. Right, so we start with the section A, question number 1. So the question is about the vector of topics. The first question, first you have to find out the position vector OP and OQ. Okay, and then for question B, you have to find out the value of P. So the first condition is the cross product vector OP and OQ is perpendicular to OR. Okay, and then the second condition to find value of T is given the cross product OP and OQ parallel to OR. So let's see the solution for this one. Okay, the first one is for part A. So state the position vector OP and OQ. So straight away we got 1 mark each P1, B1. And then for question B, so since it is related to the cross product OP and OQ, so you have to find out the cross product first. So this is the cross product, so you get 2 marks for the cross product. And then it mentioned that this cross product is perpendicular to OR. So use the condition, if the two vectors are perpendicular, the dot product will equals to 0. Okay. And then we find the dot product and they equate with 0. And somehow we should have in terms of T over here. And then we saw and find the value of T, which is 13 over 2. And then for B2, so in this case, the cross product is parallel to OR. So if the parallel, it is related to the constant M here. Okay. So we equate like this. And then we compare. Okay. To find the value of M. So equate with the constant M here, we got 1 mark. And then compare and find out the value of N, also 1 mark. And then from there, we can find out the value of T, compare the K component here. So we got the value of T is 2. So also another 1 mark over here. Okay, so we're done with the question number 1. Alright, so next we move to the second question. So the second question here related to the topics of random variables. So let's see the question. So the question is about the discrete random variable. So given the PDF function, so you have to find out the value of M for the part A, and then for the part B, you have to find out the CDF, cumulative distribution function, and then from there you have to find out the probability and also the median. So let's see the solution for part A first. Find the value of M. Okay, we know that the total probability is equals to 1. Okay, so we sum all the value x and then equate with 1. And then we find out the value of n, which is 3 over 32. So total 3 marks for part A. And then for part B, you have to find out the CDF first, because the question after that refers to this CDF. So you find the CDF. So this is how we find out the CDF. So total we have 2 marks over here to find CDF. Oh sorry, 2 mark for the process, and here another 1 mark for the write down the CDF function. So overall 3 marks to find the CDF. And then find the probability. So probability we equate F3 minus F0 using CDF. So the answer is 6 over 11, 2 marks here. So remember we already have 3 marks for the CDF, 2 marks here. And then next to find the median. So median, we know median is CDF equate with the 0.5. So it is located here because it is greater than 0.5. Okay, 22 over 12 is more than half. Okay, stated here. So the value of median is 3. So total 2 marks. And I noticed that uh, somehow there will be a mistake here because the total mark here is only 9. But in the our answer scheme here is 10. So maybe the CDF only 2 marks. So 2 marks for here and 2 marks for here. Okay, so total 6 marks lah. So CDF previously only 2 marks, not 3. Okay, the process 1 and the solution here is 1. Okay, so we're done with the question 2. Then we move to the question 3. So question 3 is the last chapter, special probability distribution. So the question is related to the Poisson distribution. So given we don't have the value of lambda, so you have to figure out the value of lambda. The only given is when x equals to 0, the probability is 0.3012. So we have to find out the value of the lambda. And for the question B, after that you find out the variance and also the probability. Okay, using that lambda you got from A. Okay, first we want to find out the lambda. So since we don't know the value of the lambda, so we cannot use table. You have to use the formula. So A is x equals 0. Obviously, you have to use table. Okay. So write down the formula and we leave the lambda since we don't know the value of the lambda. So equate with 0.3012. So this is 1 mark. Okay. And then we know that lambda power of 0 is 1. So here is 1, 0 factorial also 1. So we only have e power negative lambda equal with the 0.3012. So, okay, as I said mentioned here. And then we solve to find value of lambda. So the process to find lambda is 1 mark. And lastly, the value of the lambda which is 1.2 is another mark. So total 3 marks for part A. Okay, next we go to the part B. So from this lambda, you have to find out the variance, right? Okay, so the lambda, use the lambda given 1.2. So the variance also 1.2. Remember, for the Poisson distribution, the mean and the variance also lambda. Okay, so no calculation, just statement. Okay, 1 point. This is why B1, 1.2 the variance. Right, so next, find the probability. So since we want to use the table, so x greater or equal 0 minus x greater equals to 3. Okay, so we start from 0 until we minus 3 because 2 are still included. So we subtract 3 lah. So that one is 1 mark. And then the value from the table. And then the answer is 1 mark. So total 4 marks. Okay, include the variance for part B. Right. So we already done with the part A questions. So now we move to the part B or section B. So here in section B, we have 7 questions. Okay, look at the first question in section B. So the question is related to the topics 1. So topic 1 about the interruption. So you have to show for the equation as a root lie on the interval 1, 2, and hence using the initial value given, you have to use interruption to find the roots. Okay, so let's see. Right, so let's see the solution for the question 1 here. Right, as you can see from the solution here, we don't have the solution for the first part, which is to show that the roots lie between 1 and 2, right? And as you can see here, the total marks here already 5. So I think the question actually that only focus on neutral method and not the show. Okay. So here we focus the solution to find the roots using neutral method. So firstly here find the f prime 1 mark, and then here start the initial value and the f prime and calculate the first iteration k1, and then the second iteration another k1, and then after the value is consistent at 3 decimal places, so we stop here j1, and then we write down the final answer another j1, so total 5 marks. Okay, as I said earlier, the solution doesn't involve uh, to show the root between 1 and 2. Okay, only about the neutral set. Right, so we move to the second question. So the second question here is about the integration. So here, find the indefinite integration for question A and B here. So let's see the solution. Right, so look at the solution for the first one. So for the first question, that is integration of e power of sub x over sub x. So here we have to use substitution method. So determine the correct u and find the du. You got 1 mark. And then after that, substitute in terms of u and du, another 1 mark. And then integrate, you got 2 eu plus c, 1 mark. And then substitute back u with sub x, so you got the final answer lah. There is another 1 mark j1. So total 4 marks for part A. And then for part B, which is the integration of x cos squared to x. So here you have to use integration by parts, where x will be u and cos squared to x will be dv. So determine correct u and dv 1 mark, and then integrate v to get v and also differentiate to get du. And the answer is correct, another 1 mark. Okay, so this is du, ds, and v x over 2 plus x sine for x over 8. And then after that, we substitute into the by parts formula uv minus integration v du, 1 mark. And then we integrate v du on the right side here, another 1 mark. And then we simplify, okay? We simplify because here we have x squared over 2 and also x squared over 4. So we have to simplify these two. We get x squared over 4. Then we will get the final mark, T1. Okay. So total we have 4 marks here for question B. But in the question is stated 5. Let's see. Oh yeah, correct 5. Because this is K1, J1 for to find du and v. So total 5 marks for part B. Okay, so we move to the third question. In the third question, sketch the curve. It is about the area and volume. So sketch the curve and you have to find out the intersection point 4 marks, and then find the area 5 marks and also the volume another 5 marks. So let's see the solution. part A first, which is to sketch and find out the intersection. So this is the graph, 2 marks. And then another 2 marks to find the intersection. The process is 1 mark, and the coordinate is another 1 mark. Okay. So 4 marks for part A. And then for part B, to find the area, so the correct integration and also the correct value here, 1 mark. And then integrate, we got this one, 8x or minus 2x cube over 3, 1 mark. And then sub value 1 mark, and also the correct answer, the correct area is another 1 mark. So 4 marks for part B. Then we move. Okay, so next for the part C. So here we integrate to find the volume. So read the question very careful. The question is mentioned about y-axis. So make sure you change the function into y terms like this. And then make sure integrate correctly. So here y minus 1 is for 1 until 5, and next 9 minus 1 for 5 until 9. So make sure this first step is correct. If you got it wrong for this first step, unfortunately the rest mark will be 0. Okay, so be very careful. Make sure the first step here is correct. Then we can proceed with the next step after the first step is correct, which is to find the integration. So integrate 1 mark, and J mark is all the integration is correct. And then we set the value 1 mark, and the final answer 16 pi another mark. So total 5 marks for the volume. Alright, so we're done with the question 3. And then we move to the question number 4. So the question number 4 here is about the chapter differential equation. So this is about the application, about the population. So given the function, the differential equation here, so use the differential equation given here. Okay, the question A here. So given s equal to 5 when t 0, so solve the differential equation. So this is about the particular solution for question A. And then B, find the ratio of the maximum population to minimum population. Okay, we'll see in the solution later how we solve for question B. So first we go to the part A first. So in part A, as usual, from the differential equation given, you have to integrate. So before we integrate, you need to rearrange. So put all the s on the left hand side, and t and also k on the right hand side. So here 1 mark after you separate. And then we integrate 1 mark after we integrate. So left hand side we've got ln, right hand side negative cos. I think there should be k around here. So maybe missing k in the solution here. It should be k before cos, negative k cos. And then we make s as a subject. So right hand side will be e, and plus c here we let as a AEC. So we got AE like this. So this is the final answer, J1. But again, I don't know where the K in front here already missing. And then when S equal to 5, T equal to 0. So sort the value of S and T to find the A. So here we got A 5. Okay. So the process to find A5 ni 1 mark, and then J1 you substitute the value of A in the solution. Okay. So this is the final answer. Again, as I mentioned earlier, maybe in my opinion, in the question, earlier, we don't have K at the front here. K only coefficient of T here, not K at the front, because in the process, we don't see where the K go. Oh, I know where the K go. Okay, here we will differentiate, we will integrate, we have to divide by K here. So divide by K and we have K outside here, we already cancel out. So that's why the K in front of cos here already eliminate. Okay, we eliminate after we divide by K when we integrate. Okay, so that's why the K already gone from the solution here. Okay. Okay, so that's the first part. And then the second part of the question, you have to find the maximum. Let's see, ratio maximum population to minimum population. Ratio maximum and minimum population. So you have to find out first the maximum population, okay? So the maximum population, we know this is the trigo, okay, cost. So the maximum cost is -1. Okay. Why negative? Because we have negative in front here. That's why we have to put negative. So negative will be positive. So -1, see? 5e kan? Negative and negative. So that's why I cancel out negative with positive. So that's why the cost here must be -1 and not 1. Okay. So this is the maximum population, 5e. And then the minimum is 1, oppositely, okay? So 1, because 1, when we substitute, it will be negative e. Okay, so negative 1, sorry. So e -1. So this is the minimum population. So the process to find maximum and minimum population are already 3 marks over here. And then we divide to find the ratio. So we divide maximum and minimum. Remember the ratio is about the divide. So divide maximum and minimum. So 5e over 5e power of -1. So we divide 1 mark. And then the answer, which is square, is another mark. So total 5 marks for part B here. So for those who cannot answer part B, so read very careful how we solve for this part B. Okay. So this is how we solve. Right. So we are done with the question number 3. Now we move to the question 4. Sorry, question 5. That one already question 4. So question number 5 is about random variables. And again, we're reading about the discrete random variable. Part A previously also discrete, right? So this one another discrete. For the discrete random variable here, the first question is to find the value of k. And then for part B, find the mean and variance. Okay. So let's see the solution for part A. Right. So as usual, to find value of k, the total probability is equals to 1. So sum everything equals to 1 and sum the value of x, k1. And then we solve it to find out the value of k. 1 over 16 is Find the answer and another mark. So 2 marks to find the value of k. And then for part B, to find the mean, so use the formula sum of x px. So x and also the probability. So this is k1. And then we'll get the answer 47 over 16 j1. So 2 marks to find mean. And next, before we can find the B2 to find the variance. So before we can find the variance, you have to find out x squared first. So x squared times the probability. So we sum for each x here, k1. And then we got the value of x squared here, 161 over 16 j1. So 2 marks to find the x squared. And then we apply the variance formula, and then we sub the value of x squared and also the square of ex, k1. And the answer for the variance is j1. So total 2 marks for 2 marks for the variance formula, and overall 4 marks lah, include the ex squared here. Okay. And the question is not done yet. As you can see the question asks you to find the variance of 8 minus 3x. So you have to apply the properties of the variance. So the coefficient activity you have to square times the value of the variance. So this is k1. And then the final answer 12.9 something. So j1. So total for variance part only for 4 marks, and total variance include ex squared 6 marks lah for part B2. Right, so that's for the question number 5. Oh, so the continuous random variable is in the question 6. So let's see the question 6 over here. So in the question 6 over here, so given the density function, from there you have to find out the mean, part A, and then part B you have to find out the variance given that ex squared 7 over 2. And then lastly, find the median. Okay, so let's see the solution for the first part. The first part is to find the mean. So you have to integrate. So for each interval, you have to put the value and also the correct function, and also don't forget multiply with x because it is mean. So this is k1. After you put everything here, so you have two intervals here, so two function. And then correct after we integrate, we got 1 mark, and then sub value 1 mark, and the answer is another mark. So total 4 marks for part A, which is to find the mean. Yes. And then to find the variance, since ex squared already given, so we just sub into the formula. So sub the value of ex here at the back here, because the square of ex at the back, and then the given 712 at the front. So k1. And then the value of the variance 13 over 18 is j1. So 2 marks to find the variance. And then to find the median, so we have to integrate and equate with the 0.5. Okay. So you have to determine first, and you should check where the median located on the second interval. So you have to sum 0 until 1 for the first, and the second interval 1 until m. Okay, equal to 0.51 mark. And then we integrate 1 mark. And then we solve it to find m 1 mark, and the correct answer for m, oh not yet. And then you simplify until you get quadratic. Once you got the quadratic, you got 1 mark. and the answer is 1 mark. So total here for part C, 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 marks to find the median. And remember, since we have two values here, all the values are positive. So you have to determine the correct value of n, you have to check the interval. Okay, so check the interval. So after we check with the interval, the second interval is 1 until 4. So it should be between 1 and 4. So since 6.4 is greater than 4, so the correct value should be 1.5. So this is the incorrect value. So you have to write down from these two values, the correct answer is 1.55. Okay, right. So that will be question number 6. Okay, so we already go to the last part of the question. It's question number 7. So in question number 7, it is about the normal distribution, the last chapter. So about the baby born, and first find the probability, okay, given situation between 3.2 and between 2.75 and until 3.2, and B. So the B is a different situation. You have to later we check the solution. How do you solve question B? And then for question C, 200 babies. So this given the numbers are greater. So in this case, you have to use normal approximation for part C. Right. So we go to the solution for part A first. So remember, you have to write down, define the normal distribution here, the mean and also the variance. Okay, right. So firstly, you have to change into Z. So X minus mean over standard deviation. So 1 mark over here to change into Z. And then from the Z given, correctly identify, it will be 1 minus Z greater than 1 minus Z greater than 0.8, 1 mark over here. And then read the correct value from the table, 1 mark. And then lastly, the final answer in 2 decimal places. Okay, remember, the answer required you to give the answer in 2 decimal places only, 1 mark. So total mark for part A. Total mark for part A here is 4 marks. Next, we move to the question B. So in the question B here, so here we still use the normal distribution. Okay, so we still use the normal distribution here. The first mark here is to change into Z, X minus mean over standard deviation. And then straight away the final marks goes to the correct answer, which is 0.1587. So this is 2 marks. And then later on, what will happen? That is, we will define another per distribution, which is binomial. Okay. So if you read the question, so let's say they read the question again. Okay, given the 10 babies, okay. So if the question mention about the number of babies, 10 babies, okay, and the number is quite small, only 10 babies. So in this case, it should be another distribution and not normal. So in this case, it should be binomial. Yeah, so that's why we have to define binomial here. So the number n here is 10, and the probability refers to probability that we calculate earlier. That is 0.1587 here. So this is our probability. So write down the correct define for binomial distribution here is 1 mark. And then we solve using the binomial distribution, x greater or equals to right. So since we cannot read the table, so you have to 1 minus. So 1 minus less than 2, which is 0 and 1. So we sum 0 and 1. So we subtract from 1. Okay. We cannot use table because 0.1587 doesn't have this one in the binomial table. Okay, so that's why we have to change into formula. So 1 minus x equals 0 minus again x equals 1. Okay. So after we identify this, we got another marks. And then start the formula, binomial formula, another mark. And then the correct answer 0.4873 is another mark. So total from the beginning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 marks, okay, for part B. So very, if you cannot identify correctly, you will use a lot of marks over here. So make sure you have to familiar yourself. You have to familiar yourself with this kind of question, okay? Because it carries lots of marks. 7 marks, okay? Right, so lastly, okay, so next we move to the last part of the question, which is question 7C. Right, in this question 7C, right, as you notice here, since given the number which is 200, so we still use the binomial, okay? So the binomial, the n here is 200. And then, where the 0.63 comes from? Right. If you read the question very careful, the question mentioned about uh, the weight between 2.75 until 3.20. And if you read the previous question, which is question A, also mentioned about between 2.75 and 3.2. Means that the probability 0.63 here comes from the answer from part A. So you have to use 0.63 here from part A and put it here, and we define as a binomial because we given the numbers which is 200. And later on, we have to use normal approximation. Why normal approximation? Because the n here is greater than 50. So that's why we have to use normal approximation. So to use the normal approximation, you have to find out the mean and variance. So multiply n and p here. So you got the mean, which is 126. Okay, as you can see the process here. And then to find the variance, NP, we multiply further with the Q, 0.37, and we got the variance, which is 46.62. So after you obtain the mean and variance, and you write down like this, you get the mark. Okay, the first mark comes here. Okay, after we define as a normal, and remember, okay, the original question is in binomial, so we use normal approximation. So the second mark goes to continuity correction. Please don't forget about this step. If you forget this step and you straight away goes to change into Z, the rest of the mark you got 0. You only got a mark to find mean and variance, the first mark here. The rest will get 0. Okay? So this is a very important step. If you're dealing with the normal approximation, you have to use continuity correction. So for the continuity correction, since both are included 160 and 135, so the continuity correction will be 0.5 to the left and 0.5 to the right over here. So 0.5 to the left of 116 will be 150.5, and 0.5 to the right of 135 will be 135.5. Okay, so after we dealing with the continuity correction, then we can proceed with the change into Z. Okay, so remember the process here. Continuity correction first, and then we change to Z, and not vice versa. If you find the Z first and then do the continuity correction, that will be wrong lah. So you have to use continuity correction first. So change into Z, we got another mark. And then we got negative 0.54 and 1.39. So from here, to determine the correct value that we need to read from the table, it will be 1 minus Z greater than 1.54 and minus Z greater than 1.39. So here 1 mark over here. Okay, the step here is 1 mark. This is the just read from the table. And then subtract and you got 0.8559. So this is the final answer, another mark. So the total mark is 5 marks for the part C. Okay. So we are coming to the end of the question. So don't forget to write down how many marks you already get from part A, section A, and how many marks you get from section B. Okay. And you have to, and then reflect yourself how goes your preparation for PSPN. Okay. And before we end, I wish all of you all the best for your PSPN, and hopefully, if not all, most of you will get A from maths. Okay, all the best for all of you. Thank you very much. Bye bye.